Hello, welcome to Loremaster's Lair. I'm your Loremaster, here today for a look at the planets of the Galorian solar system, also known as the Pact Worlds. So today we'll look at something a bit different. Not a full world considered equal, but a savage in-between where many scattered outsiders take a residence. The region known as the Diaspora. Let's get started. History tells us of two planets sitting between Verces and Eox. The planets Lair and Eox. However, one day, the two planets were no more. Was there some form of natural disaster? Did they strike each other? Or was it the machinations of Eox, them doing a test run on a superweapon? Regardless of the truth, the remnants of the planets continue to swirl in their old orbit, creating a ring of asteroids between the planets, now known as Diaspora. Which, already, brings us to our first side tangent, the part of the show where we talk about fiction, non-fiction, and other fictional topics. Today we are talking on the Pact Worlds asteroid belt. So, let's look at a fictional work about our own, The Dynamics of an Asteroid. Written as an in-universe book in the Sherlock Holmes series, this book is what made Professor Moriarty, the professor of mathematics, famed for his day job. Of course, there is just a small reference to the book in canon, but it is the little details which fans go crazy over and create fanfics about. The most famed is Isaac Asimov's The Ultimate Crime, where the contents of the thesis was speculated to be the calculations of how a planet between Mars and Jupiter once split apart to form our asteroid field, potentially as a way to commit the ultimate crime by finding how to do it for our own planet. But regardless of what is actually written by the mathematician, with the origins of the Diaspora being similar and Galorian missing in what might be the ultimate crime, it's something worth mentioning. Despite the shattered nature of the area, there are still various groups which call it the region home. The Saracens are the ones who stand out the most, being those said to have descended from the residents of Lair and Eox. They are uniquely adapted to fly through space, allowing them to easily traverse their shattered home. Outside of official residence, the area is also known for the activity of the free captains. Pirates and smugglers both love the untamed region and find it excellent when covering their tracks. Other smaller groups of people call the region home, but dwarfs have reached a point of being the third most populous, using this region for mining and for building of star citadels. Now, already onto the different locations of the place, which happens when you're dealing with such a scattered civilization. First, let's look at the main regions for the living beings who inhabit the area. The Saracens have various cache homes where they have built civilizations, with the largest being Sajada, the de facto capital of the Saracens and of the entire Diaspora. Another note is Nessus, a frozen world where they have built atmospheric domes on the underside of the ice. For the other major inhabitants, the free captains have their capital at Broken Rock, and the dwarven star citadel Herohad can be found here as well. Which brings us to our second side tangent, Besmar the Pirate Queen. Yes, we talked about her before Pathfinder-wise, but considering we still have not had a full write-up Starfinder-wise, she's still fair game for side tangents. Besmar was a water spirit who became a demigod by gaining the powers of a spirit of battle, of wood, and of gold. But it was during the gap when she pulled off the greatest heist yet, stealing godhood from an unknown target, and with becoming the deity of space pirates as she now is. Now her ship, the Star Wraith, can be found skulking the galaxy, looking for its next mark. However, not just the living, but the dead also have a bit of authority here, it being so close to Eox. The Khan was once an early base for the corpse fleet when they broke away from Eox, still said to be haunted by some of the incorporeal Navy units, however you want to call them. There's also the negative energy minefield known as the blockade, though no one knows who is actually responsible for that one, though they will blame Eox readily. Finally, the Abattoir was once a prison for an exiled undead, before space pirates let it out of its prison, and potentially added 2 more of its army. People don't check. We keep moving on with the third side tangent, the corpse fleet. Eox, surprisingly, was one of the first signatures of the Pact Worlds and the Pact government, which led to the alliance being a success. However, not all citizens agreed with this decision. Those of the Space Navy who protested broke away from the planet's government, leading to the rogue squadron known as the Corpse Fleet. Now the group trawls the universe, doing what they can to undermine the Pact government. However, the real threat is that it is unknown who actually supports the group on Eox, and slings of accusations of being connected to the fleet is one of the most common insults against an undead. Then there are other locations held by those who are unliving, as in androids and robots, depending on your definition of living. The most important of these is Chainbreaker 1, the secret headquarters of the Android Abolitionist Front, where its leader, X-Nova, stays in hiding. Alternately, there is Refuge, where freed androids try to build their own home. There are also a few places where Andesites have taken refuge, including the strange curved halls once known as empty halls, but have become the congregate halls since the new residents have taken over. There was also the footprint of the first one, a sealed factory on the shadow mains of one of Eovo's moons, which looks similar to the factories on Abalon. And, while we're here, our final side tangent today is, of course, going to be the Android Abolitionist Front. Until recently, androids were more or less a slave species, worked by many corporate powers. However, even now free on paper, there are many who still use androids as slaves. This has led to the formation of the Android Abolitionist Front, with no better word to describe them, terrorist organization who works to guarantee android rights and hunts down anyone who abuses their brothers. Their work forces them to be in the shadows, but that does not mean that it does not have a working relationship with the stewards, and maybe even some hidden away in the Pact Council. One final cluster of landmarks are those around the Archon's Halo. This space station is operated by the Faith of Eleritu to explore the interesting phenomenon within the surrounding space where it is active. One is Havanax Vortex, a crushing pull to the Maelstrom, which may lead to a satellite on the other side. Survival is not that high. Another is the Hum, an area where machines malfunction, causing a spaceship graveyard. Finally, we have the Phantom Rift, a closed portal which leads to an unknown location, with anyone's guess being as good as another. Let's finish up with rapid fire places I could not easily organize. The largest of all these landmarks is, of course, the river between, a long stream drifting between the many asteroids, being a major way of travel. G-Hill Station is a Vesperian outpost in the region. Veraberium is a downed frigate repurposed to one of the region's major trade hubs. The House of the Void is a monastery of unknown faith, where all dress in black clothing which conceals their form. Songwood Station is a shrine to Shaylin, and one of the hottest concert venues in the Pact Worlds. The Forgotten King is a giant ceramic skull, which tells of a lost treasure. The Ascended Shard is a meteorite, which is said to be able to grant wishes, possibly being of the same stone as the legendary Starstone. ED-40 is a comet which traps those who come too close into a time loop, where they relive Daimar's destruction. The Wailing Stone is an abandoned prison, where a sign of Hosters, or possibly some other outer gods, worship can be found throughout, though it's most likely Hoster. Finally, the Giant Toe is unremarkable except for two things: a colony of fossilized nematodes, and the vine casting causes an eye-shaped rune to appear on the caster's forehead when it's cast here. Strange, I know. And that's it for today. Not too long a video, but when it comes to a place where it is not heavily populated, it's all going to be landmarks. Either way, before we cover some of the larger planets, we will next week be having a fun little video to prepare for an upcoming adventure path. See you then.